It should come as no surprise that there is life after rejection in an on-site interview with Amazon. But even more interestingly, I thought of giving you some tips and tricks when it comes to people who actually went through these reduced loops. First of all, I intentionally waited on this one a little more because I wanted to hear from some specific examples, and I have one case, someone talking to me from the Seattle area for a non-technical program manager coming in from Microsoft, and the other is in the UK for a senior solutions architect at AWS. Again, I'm pretty confident that this policy applies worldwide. Now, what's interesting about these reduced loops is, first of all, who is this for? It's obviously for people who failed during the on-site interview, but I would add a very important highlight here, that it's for exceptional candidates who really did well in the on-site interview and who are really thought to be a great fit, also from the leadership principles perspective, but also technically skilled for that role. So exceptionally talented people, who they thought, hey, yes, he might not be the best, probably they're the second best we have for this role, but we think of recycling them for other roles. And then they internally advertise for these, for potential openings, and they refer to someone. Now, this reduced loop is apparently only 2 hours. Now, of course, this is the information that I have, and it's probably might differ by position, by hiring team, but usually 2 hours consists of only 2 interviews when compared to the 5 you're supposed to have for an on-site round. And during those 2 hours, they actually cover the functional, the behavioral, and the technical, if applicable, parts of this. So it's essentially, really compressed version of these. Now, what's interesting here is that the focus is very much on the functional fit for that role. And if you think about it, that makes a lot of sense, ever since you got rejected from your loop simply because they thought you were not the best fit for the role in the first place, and you were someone who went really well on the leadership principles. Now, another interesting aspect here is that in both cases, these mini loops happened 2 months after the original rejection for an on-site interview. So I thought of mentioning this. For some reason, it's 2 months. I'm not sure why. This is only 2 or 3 months. Now, the other thing is that someone whom I spoke with who went to such a loop, he said, then I thought it was even more challenging. These 2 hours of interviewing were even more challenging than the 5 hours I had originally on the loop. And remember, I know this guy, he was really, really sharp on the principles, so he was really an exceptional candidate. And he said the reason being for this interview to be so challenging is because they really drilled in those behavioral questions. So they really followed up on those questions. So even if they only screened him on 2 leadership principles, they really dive deep into those principles. Whereas, during the on-site interview, the interview was not very conversational. Whereas, they would ask you a couple of questions, you would provide them an answer, a 10-minute answer if you want, and then they'll be satisfied. So from this point of view, they were a lot more challenging, right? So probably, the people interviewing you will be a bit skeptical of you being such a great candidate, and, cautiously optimistic is the best strategy I know going into pretty much any of these interviews. So if there's a major takeaway from this, if you're not already preparing for a mini loop, it would be that you must really put together a great show during your initial on-site, because so you should know that it's mainly the candidates that are exceptional, like both sharp on the leadership principles and a great functional fit, that usually receive these offers for mini loops. Now, keep in mind, it's a pretty isolated scenario in my opinion, but still there is success coming in from this approach.